All right. Well, I'm pleased to be joined this morning by Todd Polifka. He's the owner of Custom One Homes in Woodbury. Is that right?
Correct.
And the newly installed 2021 president of Housing First Minnesota Residential Construction Trade Association with more than 1,000 members. Todd has more than 20 years of construction experience, and he has served on Housing First Minnesota's board for nearly 10 years. Prior to owning Custom One Homes, Todd was a principal in Brush Masters Painting and Drywall. And in addition, he gives back to the community through the Custom One Charities initiative. Um, did I get all that right?
Good job.
Okay, great. Hey, thanks again for joining us. I wonder if you could just start out maybe by talking a little bit more about your company and sort of how you got started in the home building business.
Yeah, sure. So a little bit about our company, Custom One Homes. Our office is based out of Woodbury, although we do service not only the Twin Cities but the state of Minnesota with new construction or renovation. And we're also licensed in Wisconsin. So we build roughly 25 homes a year in varying price points. We build some villa product, maybe down in the $500,000 price range, up to $3-4 million homes in single family type settings. So we like variety. We like more of a consultative approach, more of a boutique type firm than we're not a mass production type setting. So a lot of times when we work with homeowners, we're truly starting on a 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, blank piece of paper, and creating homes around people's stories of, family formations and how they host and how they socialize and how they work or don't work out of the home. The things like that. So, the company's been around since 1983, kind of remarketed and we purchased the company in 2016. So, we're excited about the purchase. We're excited about the direction of the company. We're excited about the industry and in the market itself. So excited to see what the future brings us.
Okay. And how did you get started in home building? We talked a little bit about your previous experience with Brush Masters Painting and Drywall. Were you involved in the industry for a number of years before that?
Yeah, so worked over at Brush Masters for roughly 7 years. Prior to that, actually owned a design build remodeling firm prior to that. And then before that, managed some other companies, kind of grew into that. I actually spent my first 7 years professionally at 3M. So kind of a diverse background, if you will. Looking at different industries, different managements, different operations, and then partnered with a remodeling company on a company, and then went out on my own and fell in love with the industry. And once you get equity in this industry and passion for it, it's pretty hard to leave it. So, fell in love with it and been in it ever since. So probably the last 20 years of my life have been in it and really enjoyed it. And just in the one thing I really enjoy about Brian is that I feel like it's an industry where you really truly get to see what you create. You get to see that finished product, and I'm not in a setting where I'm making pieces for other product, that type of setting where we start again from that 8.5 by 11 piece of paper and bring something all the way to completion, and then watch somebody participate in it, enjoy it, build a lifestyle in it, all those kind of fun things. So it's been pure enjoyment for sure.
Great. And I guess if we could look back a little bit on the past year, of course, 2020 was a very challenging year for all of us with the pandemic and the economic downturn and so forth. But surprisingly, I keep track of the residential building permits issued in the Twin Cities, and from what I saw, it was a surprisingly strong year for residential builders in the Twin Cities. I wonder if you could reflect on that a little bit and talk about what maybe drove some of those numbers.
Yeah, I think it's for many people in different settings and environments, 2020 has been a very memorable year, right? Um, and I can tell you that the year started out as a normal year, and then I feel like there was a pause for maybe 4, 5, 6 weeks max, right around that March, April timeframe, where people are like, we don't know where this is going to go. And then it just escalated, in a very positive direction. Um, with that, had some challenges, but to your point, permits are up, people are buying, people are looking for changes. The outer suburbs are reinvented. You kind of see an exodus of the downtowns right now. There's just not the activity that people enjoy, as far as nightlife and restaurants and shows and concerts. Those are on pause right now. Hopefully those come back pretty soon. But now you see that suburban outring, and you're also seeing people where they're like, hey, if I could work from anywhere, I might as well really enjoy my view or my space, or I need the right floor plan or footprint, or I need to renovate my home and maybe change my office setting, or a setting where my children can do a little more homework, because they have to be in the home more. But yeah, it's in a really positive spot right now. People are getting equity back in their homes, so kind of trying to recover even from that post recession era. Now you're starting to see that equity come back, which is great. And we anticipate it to be a pretty good 2021, and a good run from there. So with that, the demand of ownership in 2020, definitely people are desiring to want homes, and you can kind of see where the next years are going to be pretty good, and record interest rates are down, so that helps a lot. We've definitely got some headwinds, with lumber and materials and appliances, and the supply chain logistically in the industry is definitely being challenged, because when companies did hit that pause back in March and April, then they had to reset, and then you had some other market conditions going on where it was hard to bring back staff. And you couple that with growth of 30-40% for some companies on large volume builders, and that really impacts the ability to produce, from a material standpoint.
Yeah. Are you still seeing some of the supply chain issues out there, or is that pretty much leveled out now?
No, it hasn't leveled out yet. I mean, we're hoping that by mid-year this year it does. We're still seeing some delays, things, and it's not just in the materials and suppliers, but even permitting. Permitting is running, lengthy times, compared to what it traditionally does. So, people are stretched. You can kind of see that it's a hard time, or it's a more difficult time to watch companies try to expand their business and bringing people on, and ramping up to meet the demand. So you got lagging indicators, if you will, and people are chasing those kind of things.
Mhm, mhm. Are you seeing similar growth in the remodeling area? You talked about people needing maybe an extra office, or areas for where kids can do school online, that kind of thing. I imagine that must be driving some of the remodeling activity.
Oh, without a doubt, or people are choosing to redo their main levels, or they want to enjoy their master baths better. It's a lot of things, variety in the home or outdoor spaces. I know the pool companies are, you know, we had a client that was looking to purchase a pool for 2021. Well, we're in January, right? And the pool company's already booked for the year.
Wow.
Or you see boating, right? Recreation up 30-40% from last year. So there's plenty of changes in consumer spend. Remodeling is definitely one of them, and that's in a really positive direction. Most of the people I talk to in the renovation world, they're definitely positive. They're strong on it. They're seeing leads and volumes definitely up. So it's really good. But yeah, there is a lot of impact from the COVID situation that's pushing that agenda for sure.
Yeah, you mentioned the pools. My kids are big swimmers, and usually they go and swim at the local uh, community swimming pool, right? The public. We have a usually buy a membership there, or whatnot. And this year, of course, that couldn't be done, so we ended up buying one of those above ground pools, and even that was hard to find online, and we had to really do some digging and searching just to find that. So
Yeah.
yeah, it looks like that'll continue now into 2020, 21.
Yeah. I don't see it changing yet. So I think you're gonna have a couple of years of that where, and people get trained, right? And it's kind of like spending habits or buying habits, how you socialize becomes different. Then you get comfortable with it, and you kind of get challenged to do some things that you might not normally do. And then you actually find out that you like some of those things and you keep doing it.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. Um, so what else are you looking at here in 2021 as far as some of the trends, or you talked a little bit about the headwinds. One headwind for builders is, or I guess a challenge you might say, is just building that more affordable product.
Of
Um,
course.
what can you say about that, and what are some of the ideas that home builders have to maybe bring down
Yeah.
some of those costs?
Yeah, Brian, you start looking, you go on the MLS and start pulling houses and try to find single family homes under 400,000. It's fairly difficult. And when you do, you see 15 bids on that house, right? So you get in a bidding war, and you start seeing those houses. All of a sudden you think you're buying something for 325, and you get in a bidding war and you're paying 375 for it, right? So, um, house prices from like a 250, 350 range, there's just not enough inventory out there. And part of it is regulatory. The part of it is permitting fees. Part of it is land development charges. So we're working extremely hard inside of Housing First Minnesota to try to help regulatory costs become much more in line so that we can support affordability housing inside the market. And then, you got these headwinds of supplies and materials that are going up and getting more difficult to get. So you couple that with all of that, and it's really hard to get a home, for 275 brand new, especially when you see, lands up, municipalities are up, and then materials are up. So, but even with that, to your point, builders and remodelers are definitely very intuitive and very knowledgeable on ways to uh, value engineer homes and value engineer projects to try to reduce costs. With technologies in the industry and different products available, that's helped. So as much as there are headwinds and there's some negatives that are causing that, I think the Twin Cities market is really lucky to have such good operators in the Twin Cities market to be able to do that and solve that for consumers. So that's good. But yeah, we definitely want to get affordability, the entry level home much lower than it is. That's a huge piece to it.
And it looks like one thing I've noticed in the permit numbers, it does seem like you're seeing more of those attached home products, the twin homes and townhomes, et cetera. I would imagine that's a response to, maybe one way people can get into a new home at a little lower price point. Um, do you see that continuing in 2021, perhaps?
Yeah, I do. The villa product, the multi-unit townhome, you start seeing duplexes come back into play, like you said. So yeah, that's all part of it of getting more density. It's kind of interesting how when you watch land development go, everyone wanted to go from 55-foot wide lot or 50-foot wide lot up to 100 feet. And now you're starting to see it come back to 80s and 70s and 60-foot wide lots. If you look at certain municipalities and you look at planning and development, you'll see a lot of 60s and 70-foot wide lots. And that's just the reflection of trying to keep costs down when, again, you got park fees and zoning and all of those development charges going up, it's really hard to combat that. So the only way to do that is through density.
We just started another legislative session here. Do you think there's a legislative solution to some of these challenges? And what else can you talk about in terms of the Housing First Minnesota legislative priorities?
Yeah, we're doing our best to collaborate with others, and including government partners, affordable housing community, of really trying to drive that through legislation of getting assistance and first and foremost bringing awareness. So we can't get support legislatively until we bring enough awareness to them so they can truly understand what we're seeing on the street, if you will. So we're doing a good job of that. We want to make sure thousands of companies that make up the housing industry are prepared to meet the demand for the housing recovery as well, because inventories are so low. So with the legislative session, we just want to make sure that there's not crazy regulations where you got to build bomb shelters and every house has to have a 3-car garage and you got to have the full front has to be all stone. Those kind of regulations in communities get really difficult when we're trying to help people get into starter homes.
Well, we covered a lot of ground there. Any other thoughts or before we end here?
Yeah, I think just overall, Brian, the housing industry is one of the best spots that it's ever been in. And I truly believe part of the economic recovery with COVID has been led by housing. It's a great industry to get into. We did have an exodus, if you will, of employees during the recession. And, we lost probably 60-75% of the companies that were in the industry. And now that has come, 360 or 180 degrees in a really positive way. So I'd encourage, especially young people that are looking to get into an industry that is extremely productive and extremely awarding, that they take a look at the industry. And there's so many varying ways to be part of it, whether it be in real estate or mortgage or supply chain or labor. There's just a lot of ways to get involved in it. And I'd really encourage the youth of today to consider the construction industry as employment.
Yeah, that's a great point. I'm glad you mentioned that, especially now when we're seeing unemployment levels up a little bit. This is a great opportunity for people to maybe get into a new career if that's what they desire. So
yeah, and there's everyone's looking for good people, right? But yeah, I'd say let's get more people in the industry. Let's keep building cost-effective homes. Let's not get regulated too much, and let's keep the interest rates down.
Yeah. All right, Todd. Well, thank you, and best wishes to you in the coming year, and hopefully we can chat again from time to time.
Absolutely.
So
nice to meet you, Brian. You have a great day, and thanks for the time.
Likewise. Thank you. Take care.
You too. Bye, Brian.
Bye.